Welcome to another pre-show, everyone. Gather round.
Gather round in your Christmas finery. You realize we have only a week left, practically?
I actually, my wife told me this yesterday. She said, Christmas is next weekend. I said, what? That's impossible. She said,
Oh,
yeah, look at the calendar. Um, and I did, and to my dismay, I can't believe it's next. Well, not. I mean, the following Monday. I mean, it's just like,
we basically lose the fourth week in Advent this year. It
did
is
we?
gone.
Was it a shorter Advent? I felt like it was
Yeah,
so short.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is going to be the third. This Sunday is going to be the third week in Advent. The third Sunday in Advent. The fourth Sunday in Advent is going to be Christmas Eve,
Oh, okay, that's right. So,
and then a week after that. I hate to break the news, my dear colleague, but guess what happens a week after that?
a week after Christmas is New Year's?
Yes, same as every year. Same procedure as every year, James. And you know what that means?
Well, I don't know what that means, Charles.
It means Guy Lombardo will reign supreme over our hearts once more.
I love that. I was thinking about him because I was thinking, I was thinking about New Year's Eve plans and just New Year's Eve. And man, you know, a couple of the past few years, we looked at what the modern people are doing for New Year's Eve, and it's like, there's so many. This is pathetic. Like this doesn't. This misses. This is like. It should just be Guy Lombardo. They should be just playing like the YouTube video of like the New Year's ball from back in the day, where the Royal Canadians are
Uh,
playing. It's just so the tone is different, the attitude is different. Um, I feel like Guy Lombardo added a certain solemnity to it.
well, they
You know,
made it. They called him Mr. New Year's Eve, and he said, "When I'm going, when I go, I'm taking New Year's Eve with me." And to
and he
some degree,
did,
he did.
and he
Yeah,
did.
to
Yeah,
some
actually, he
degree.
did.
Uh, but if you get the chance, you can find online one of the great Ellery Queen episodes, the series Ellery Queen. Wow, there's a mobile microphone there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, no, the Ellery Queen episode I refer to from 1975 is called "The Adventure of Old Lang Syne," and it's set at the Astor Hotel, New Year's Eve 4647. And who is playing? Yes, Guy Lombardo. And who's playing Guy Lombardo? Yes, Guy Lombardo. And they used to have with Ellery Queen, they had this preview for the next week. And it would say, "Who killed the so and so so and so? Was it the annoying secretary, the sniveling nephew, the greedy sister?" It would go like that. So it did that for the Adventure of Old Lang Syne. But then after going through all those people, the camera switches to Guy Lombardo leading the orchestra and says, "Surely it wasn't Guy Lombardo." The Adventure of Old Lang Syne.
What do you guys do for New Year's?
Well, that's an interesting question. A lot depends on who's going to be here. But I expect there'll be ham, maybe beef, but probably ham. Um, Before New Year's, we'll have the traditional over here viewing of a English language comedy sketch called Dinner for One that is viewed religiously throughout Central Europe on New Year's Day. We will probably either sing or chant the Te Deum in Thanksgiving for the year that's been. And then we'll have the countdown. I've already introduced the kids to the music of Guy Lombardo. So, you guessed it, at New Year's Eve, we'll have Guy play and we'll sing Auld Lang Syne. And then shortly after that, we will sing or chant the Veni Creator Spiritus to invoke the Holy Ghost on this coming year. And then it will be 2024 in the Imperial Dominions.
Mm.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
You know how Guy Lombardo described his own music?
No.
The sweetest music this side of heaven.
It's a little self-laudatory.
Well, they all had things like that. I mean, there was Kay Kaiser and his College of Musical Knowledge, Benny Goodman, the Sentimental Gentleman of Swing. There were a lot of them. And the thing about the music of that sort was that it was either hot or sweet. And Benny Goodman, Glenn Miller, they went in for hot, and Guy Lombardo went in for sweet, as did Lawrence Welk.
Okay. I get what you mean by hot. I get it. I didn't know that's an interesting classification.
Yeah, it was sweet and it was hot. And the if you remember, like Sing Sing Sing, you know.
Yeah.
Da 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 dun 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 dun. That's hot.
Yeah, well, that's what immediately what I was thinking because I thought that was one of Benny Goodman's big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was hot.
Yeah.
Definitely hot. But Auld Lang Syne, the style of Auld Lang Syne, sweet.
Right. Yeah. I'm thinking a lot of the the most I know from big bands, I sort of get from sort of the old timey movies, where the intro stuff. I'm thinking of because I think for a lot of intros, there's, I guess, the suite, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, I get it. That's cool. Okay.
Now you know hot music and sweet music, and those are the two kinds of swing.
Yeah. All right.
But I always thought that was a great title though for Benny Goodman, the Sentimental Gentleman of Swing.
I like the College of Musical Knowledge. That's awesome. I don't know why I like that so much.
Kay Kaiser. And it was, I forget who it was, but one of them, his tagline was, "Is everybody happy?" And of course, Lawrence Welk was champagne music.
Lawrence Welk. I need to look him up. Champagne music. I don't even know what that means. I have to write that down.
I feel 195 years old all of a sudden.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Lawrence
It's not
Welk,
your fault.
champagne music. I mean, champagne music isn't simply like sweet?
No, it was the bubbles coming out of his instruments, actually.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know what that means. That's okay.
Yeah, bubbles floating out as the band played. There would be bubbles floating out of their music, out of their instruments. And they called it champagne music. But yeah, it was sweet. It was definitely sweet.
Oh, okay. Okay, questions. A bunch of questions from Helvicio. It says, "Dear Don Vincenzo and Sir Charles, Charles was certainly in top form last episode. I especially liked his rant about terrorists picking on the weak and how the tables were turned on that one nefarious Irishman. His mention of imperial languages has inspired my first question. Which 3 non-imperial languages would Charles learn if he had the time? Mine would be Croatian, Finnish, and Scottish."
does he mean non-imperial? Those are imperial languages. Croatian was the language of the Imperial Austro-Hungarian Navy. Finnish was used by the Finns who helped the Russians colonize Alaska. And Scots was heard all over the British Empire. No, if you want indigenous languages is what you need. So I would learn Cherokee, Mohawk, and Sasquatch.
What? You just made that up.
I did not make that up.
Sasquatch is a cryptid, not a language.
No, obviously, they speak something, don't they? And they're supposed to be pre-human. So, I mean, it doesn't get more indigenous and less colonial than Sasquatch.
Okay. All right.
I mean, how much more free of European colonization can you get than being Bigfoot? I mean, they're totally free of this stuff. It's true. You can.
No, that's why I'm laughing, because what you say, as absurd as it was, in a certain sense, it actually is 100% true. There's no one more free than Sasquatch.
It's true. They're entirely free of the empire of Homo sapiens. They're of the colonization of the entire planet. They're freer and truer to their roots than the American Indians are, or the Australian Aborigines. I mean, they're there with the Neanderthal. You know, they're free. I mean, basically, if you're any kind of hominid after Cro-Magnon, to include Cro-Magnon, you're basically a colonial. So we're left with the Neanderthals, with the Sasquatch, and with the little fellows on the island of Flores.
Wow. Okay.
All the rest, the Cro-Magnon and the rest of them, they're all colonizers.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, even the American Indians, when you hear, oh, they crossed the Bering Land Strait and went into the Americas that were uninhabited. Oh, yeah? There were animals there, weren't there? That's right. And what did the first American Indians do when they got there and saw those animals?
Presumably, they ate them.
Exactly. Madagascar, that big island there in the Indian Ocean, they had these huge, twice the size of ostrich birds called moa. And what happened to the moa? Why did they become extinct?
Why?
The arrival of the so-called indigenous people, the Malagasy, to Madagascar. Before human beings appeared in Madagascar, the moa had no problems. Before you knew it, they were all eaten.
Yeah, but it's not so much about the eating as much as, does the animal have a chance to live life to the full? I can't even say.
Not when it's eaten, it doesn't. Not when it's eaten.
God, we live in a strange world, everybody.
We sure do.
Where I thought there was a law in California that was like requiring like more space for the chickens in the chicken farms, so that it's more humane.
There should be. I mean, let's face it. If we don't, all right, we're trying to wean the poor off their dependence on meat. So how do you do that? Well, you make it more expensive.
You made this point many years ago on the show, and it's really stuck with me, which is sort of the trade-off. I mean, people don't really think. I mean, we're complaining about food prices, but at the same time, we're changing the supply system so that food is more and more expensive.
Yeah. But see, when you're ruled by stupid people, they don't understand that, or they don't care. Which reminds me, and I may repeat this during the show, but Emmanuel Tang, one of my fellow inmates here, came up with a very funny line, which suggested in return a funny thought to me. And the funny thought was, well, his funny line was, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That sounds like I feel.
So he had me kind of reduced to tears, kind of like the way you are right now.
I just picture you as some game show host with the goofiest smile on your face. And it's like maybe The Price is Right or something where you have all these games and you're like... and...
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the stupider the game, the stupider the prize. And now, playing for a pile of broken eggshells, is Shelley Dupree of Sidewinder, New Jersey. Now, Miss Dupree, smack your face as hard as you can. But when he said that to me, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, it popped out of my mouth immediately. I said, you mean like voting? And yeah.
Ooh.
Voting is you play a stupid game and you get a stupid prize. You get a moron to rule you. Isn't that great? What's wrong with that? I mean, I remember one of my dad's jokes. Dad supported Goldwater in the election of '64. And the pro-Johnson people, the Democrats, were pushing, Goldwater's going to get us into a war in Southeast Asia. So in '65, we get into Vietnam with the Gulf of Tonkin and all that. And my dad's response was, well, they were right. They said if I voted for Goldwater, I'd get a war in Southeast Asia. I voted for Goldwater, and I got a war in Southeast Asia. Absolutely. They knew what they were talking about. If only I'd voted for Johnson, we wouldn't have this mess. It made perfect sense.
Oh. I honestly feel like that's the line of the year. That's the best line I've heard this year. Play stupid games, win stupid.
Get stupid prizes. I thought so too. I thought it was good. Well, see, Emmanuel's from Hong Kong, and so he has an understanding of how these things really work. They've just had another set of elections in Hong Kong. The Chinese Communist Party did not compete. Well, they don't have to. It doesn't matter who's elected. See?
Wow.
Isn't that great? It's kind of like being American.
I guess so.
What?
Okay.
What? I think it's great. It's really wonderful. I can't think of anything better than this. It's really tremendous.
You don't get to criticize America anymore from over in Austria.
Who's criticizing? I'm affirming.
You're judging us over there.
See the smile?
All right. Moving on. How
Fine. Be that way. Man, that hurt. You try talking with a fixed smile. See how it works. Go ahead, try it.
No, I am not going to try that because I'm smart. All right.
You're afraid.
What is this?
You're afraid.
What? Is this grade school or something? You're gonna peer pressure me?
Yes, I have. If that's what it takes.
No, I'm not gonna do this.
Scaredy cat won't even smile and talk at the same time.
All right. Okay, we're being two giggling cucks. Let's reel it in.
All right, come on, giggling cucks of the world. You have nothing to lose but your giggle or whatever. I don't know.
How does Charles view Cardinal Mazarin,
Mazarin.
the successor of Cardinal Richelieu? I read that Mazarin was responsible for consolidating even more power into the hands of the French monarchy, but this state of affairs did not last too long.
Well, it didn't because the French Revolution came along. But the reason, if I remember correctly, was because of an attempt by the nobility of France, some of the higher nobility, to loosen the amount of power the king had. And that was a civil war called the Fronde. And when the Fronde was over, the Queen, Anne of Austria, the Queen Regent, made sure that power was ever more securely tightened in Louis's hands. And then when Mazarin died, Louis was asked, well, who will be your chief minister now? And he said, me.
Hmm.
And he made the famous statement, "L'état c'est moi." I am the state.
The cardinal made that?
No, the king.
Oh, the king said that. Okay.
So he did have ministers to help him, like Colbert and so on, but nobody ever again, until really the end of the kingdom, ever achieved the kind of power that first Richelieu and then Mazarin had had.
All right. If Charles were exiled to a region of France and could never leave that region for the rest of his life, which one would he choose?
Oh, that's easy. Brittany.
Why?
Because of the spears there.
What?
The spears, they're famous for them.
Okay, I get what you did there. That's so clever, Charles. Britney Spears. Got you.
See? But no, that's not really the reason. It's because it's beautiful countryside. They've got a lot of legends and so on. It's very Celtic. So if I could only live in one section of France, I could leave, and I could never leave it. It would be Brittany.
Okay. Is wine a consideration? Quality of wine in the region? No?
No, Brittany's not really wine country at all. It's very northern and, as I say, very Celtic. It's the Western Peninsula.
So
a lot of Arthurian legends and things like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. To both Vincent and Charles, who is your favorite apostle? Thanks again for asking these questions and all that you do. I hope that you both have had a fun in Holy St. Andrew's Day. Sincerely, Helvetia.
I did.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll go. I mean, my confirmation saint was St. John the Apostle, and I stand by that because he's kind of the baby apostle, and I'm the baby in the family. And he has a sort of tenderness to him. I liked him back then a lot because he was the only apostle that kind of I mean, I guess he had a martyrdom of sorts, right? But it wasn't like a standard like execution. Like what, he was exiled to the island of Patmos?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, they did. He was sent to Rome and they boiled him in oil, but it didn't hurt him.
Yeah, it didn't work. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that was
interesting. The one I would have said St. John, but you took him.
Well, Mother Angelica has such a funny take on St. John. I was listening to her. She almost ruined St. John for me, actually. Because she was saying, the apostles, all the other apostles, because she was talking about everyone's idiosyncrasies. And everybody, you have to sort of overcome everyone's idiosyncrasies through love.
Yeah.
And so she sort of, in Mother Angelica fashion, hyperimposed sort of John always talking about himself as like, oh, I'm the most beloved apostle. I'm the most beloved disciple. I'm Jesus' most loved one. And she said, would that get on your nerves? And I thought,
it might do. It might do.
I don't know if John announced it in that
John
manner.
actually said that, but I can see what you mean.
I mean, he wrote it that way. But
we don't really have anything else to go on. I can't really believe he spoke that way, but who knows?
So, yeah, okay, so you're taking John too, huh?
Yeah.
What are your reasons?
Well, he was the one the closest to him. His gospel is the most doctrinal of the four gospels. I guess it was the fruit of decades of meditation on the experiences he and the other apostles had. He was the last one to die. Um, and the book of Revelation, of course, is a real revelation to me. It's almost apocalyptic. But no, it's and then of course the epistles St. John wrote are all really something. Yeah, pardon me. And um, he was the disciple Jesus loved. He had a very special relationship with him. So yeah, he'd be my favorite. If I had to choose a second favorite, it would probably be St. Peter.
Yeah. Uh, I guess so. I would probably choose St. Peter too. Um, I of Saint my favorite line is sort of Saint. I like Saint Peter as a fisherman, where, um, I don't know. My favorite line from Saint Peter is the one where Jesus says, cast your net out for a catch," and
Yeah,
he's exhausted because he's been fishing like all day, or all day and all night. He says that we've been fishing all night. And in other words, you add more context to that. It's like, I'm exhausted, I'm frustrated. There's nothing in this place, but you know what? You're saying it. I'll oblige you. Okay. No, but that's me as a fisherman, where relating to him, like, you've been out all day and you've caught nothing. You're frustrated. You just want to go home and sleep.
yeah.
But yeah.
Of course, that's kind of like me most of the time, but never mind.
Yeah. All right. We've got a question from Mark, and Mark says, understanding that you both come from strongly Catholic patronages, you might not have the same experiences as me as a Catholic convert. I was wondering, how would someone like me, who comes from a long line of Protestants, some very famous dissenters, and Puritans such as the founder of Connecticut, and
Thomas Hooker.
and some of the loyal nobles of Henry VIII, who might have gladly taken the oath against the church's wish. Looking at my family tree on the English side, there is a 400 to 500 year gap in belief in the true faith. How can I reconcile this with my relatively newfound faith? Obviously, I should pray for my ancestors who so vehemently attacked the church in England and in America, but how do I reconcile the fact that these persecutors were my own blood?
Well, you got to remember that everybody and I do mean everyone in the whole world, has a whole string of ne'er-do-well ancestors. Also remember that before the first Catholics became Catholic, all their ancestors were pagans or Jews. But St. Catherine Tekakwitha was the first Catholic ever in her Mohawk pagan family. Um, all of the Japanese converts that St. Francis Xavier made ditto. So there's a reason our Lord said, "Let the dead bury their dead." You're the one who matters. I mean, if you have Catholic ancestors, pray for them. If you have non-Catholic ancestors, pray that somehow or other God got to the truth. But don't confuse or worry about where they are, what they're doing. Say some prayers for them, but you do your best to be the best kind of Catholic you can be. And then, even if they did not save their souls, It would have given their lives some meaning. Because without them, you wouldn't be here. And then, in that way, whatever their own eternal end, they'll have contributed to the making of a saint.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Those are all the pre-show questions, Charles.
Well, in that case, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? How many times must a white dove sail before it can rest in the sand? Yes, and how many times can something or other? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Okay, that's a folk song. That's either Joni Mitchell or Bob Dylan, or someone else?
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. Okay, the answer is blowing.
You like Peter, Paul, and Mary?
I don't totally know them. Peter, Paul, and Mary?
Yes. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Wow, that's them. Okay.
Are you really going to tell me you've never heard of them?
I mean, I've heard of them, but I've never sort of identified their songs. That's such a strange. And I've always regarded that as such a strange name, Peter, Paul, and Mary. That just obviously that brings to mind, religious connotations. Oh, "Blowing in the Wind" was written by Bob Dylan. Okay, I feel. Yeah. Okay.
Well, they did a lot of Bob Dylan songs, but they had a much better voice than he did. Do you know that I'm leaving on a jet plane?
Is that them too? Really?
Yep.
Okay, so they have all these songs that I just never identified the artist. Okay.
Well, the times they are changing.
Okay, that is Bob Dylan. Okay.
Yes, he wrote it, but they did the best version of it.
I like his version. I do like his version. I'm sorry. I don't know. You probably just don't like Bob Dylan's version at all for anything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. Sure.
I mean, he doesn't have the nicest voice, so,
Yeah, I'll say.
All right, that's going to do it for the pre-show. Stick around for the full episode coming at you.
We'll be here.